Okay, we are live. So the Medicine Hat Badland Guardians, with any luck, next weekend we will be doing the trip out here to do the little expedition, film it, try and get some drone action going, and see if we can find any runes, any megaliths, the geoglyphs, and the corresponding radials that the Faram Foundation has discovered with the Medicine Hat Badland Guardians, as well as so many other places, as well as seeing if we can get any pictures of these balls and confirm if this picture was actually taken in the same valleys as these two guys here, the Moy or Micronesian, Macronesian, Hawaiian, Easter Island style characters. This is the main valley from the top left corner with those guys to the dragon crown, Aztec, Mayan, Olmec figure to the right of it, and then the Badland Guardians, this guy, as well as the Olmec to the top right, the what looks like a runic Viking Slavic sort of guy above the main native indigenous face, warrior face, and whatever this potentially could have been as well. So hopefully we are able to pull that off. I'm going to be coming out with some more details in the next couple days about that. Hello. Right, much love, Kiwi MacArthur. Right, we're gonna do it together. You're down in New Zealand, and potentially, are these characters carvings and faces that you see throughout that area? I don't know. I'm curious for all. Aaron, welcome. Brian Evans, welcome everybody. Scott Robinson, Victor Freeman as well. Sorry I almost missed you there. Oh, you're from the High Rockies of Colorado. I love the High Rockies of Alberta and parts of, well, I guess it's the Kootenays in British Columbia, but love the mountains, love the Rockies. Okay, so what we got going on here between Bert and Ernie, if you can see it, focusing there, some of the bubbles of hydrogen, you are able to see those bigger clustered bubbles go up, but that fog there all around the crystal and going up that coil as well are the what I believe to be atomic hydrogen coming off of this little reactor that I've created and have testing today. Did you stay up to date with Keshe Foundation? Yes, so I still actually talk to Rick Cramond of the Keshe Foundation and participated in one of their plasma reactor groups about a month ago, and we're setting something up to hopefully have Rick on a future show of one of my podcasts, as well as I'm going to be working with him to actually build and test one of these Magrav coil designs to the Keshe spec with Rick, and see if we can actually, and Mike as well from Faraday together, probably Jeremiah will probably jump in with us on that one, and do some real testing on them and either confirm or deny whether they work. Yeah, there is probably what we know as Brown's gas coming off of this reactor here, and it's that whitish mist that's going up, I believe, the atomic hydrogen clusters there. So, if you didn't catch it last night, I was on with the alien. Yeah, right. So a few years back, no, about 5 or 6 years back now, watching their original blueprints to their star design reactors and whatnot. It seems it's fascinating, and it's got potential, from what I've seen, to be legit. Like the designs, the physics behind it, it's a lot of what everybody else is also coming up with and doing, so it kind of confirms it by association-ish, as well as my own decade of participating in the knowledge seeker workshops on and off, and seeing with my own eyes and my own experiments. But besides that, because I know they can be a bit controversial at times, the alien scientist last night that I was on with Jeremiah, hello, good JP. I'm going to play this clip first, just showing this ridiculously huge piece of lettuce in the middle there, and I'm glad we got it filmed and some pictures taken of it before it freezes, because that's epic. It's the same size as the sunflowers, pretty much, right next to it. Hello to join now. Brian Evans, one love, my friend, my family, all of you joining us right now. It's going to be a rather short one tonight. I'm going to be about half hour here. So yeah, I'm going to... I also, before I went live here right now, I was doing a recording with Benjamin Balderson over at Odin's Alchemy, that we're going to be recording the part 2 tomorrow, and then the edited versions will be coming out in the next couple days. I should be able to upload it, premiere it on my channels as well. So yeah, and I will be playing a clip from my last interview with Campbell and Ben here in a second. So until then, before then, here's the clip from the alien scientist last night.
Really? That one that's really tall is what you've been feeding?
Yeah. Okay, so this is...
Can you let us know what it does to weed?
Normal romaine lettuce and the normal kale size, and then like the normal stuff. And then as we get to the monatomic, sorry, my neighbor is mowing the lawn. You get to this lettuce that, like, we've literally had 8 salads from, and it just keeps growing.
Are the rabbits growing to abnormal size?
Of the kale. I'll mute myself out, but...
Right.
The rabbits have been growing to abnormal size. Their teeth are getting larger.
Hey, as long as the garden outgrows the rabbits, then we're still good.
Well, we got to check his nutritional content, though.
So I'm also going to quickly show this little saltwater battery thing that I've created that's been running for 5 days now, producing hydrogen, and it's not connected to a single power source. Just a couple of jars connected to each other. And then the cathode side, I don't know if you'll be able to actually see it bubbling, but with a good camera, it's actually bubbling consistently nonstop outside in cooler weather with no power source at all connected to it. So
did you hook up the multimeter yet to that thing and find out what's going on?
No, I'm still about to do that. I have been
before
busy.
It stops bubbling, you got to check it while it's still going.
Oh yeah. But like, it's bubbling even more now than it was when I originally started the reaction.
Yeah, really.
So, and then here's the second one as well, bubbling on this one. It's these 3 hooked up, and it's been for 5 days now, and it keeps going. So tomorrow, I'm going to make sure that I do a stream where I actually hook them up and do the test, seeing the voltages that are coming out of it, and that even if it's a half amp, easily be produced down into 12 or 24 little cups with the same little anode cathode into them, and have a 12-volt watt out of very simple things that runs for a very long time.
I wanted to ask you this the other day too. You have salt water in there, obviously, and then you have these other various elements. But what is your anode and cathode made of?
So we got just triple copper on this side. We've got iron, aluminum on this side, aluminum, tungsten, copper on the active cathodes, aluminum, tungsten, tungsten, copper on both of the cathodes that are being reactive.
Yeah, before replicating Mike's power cells, I would have kind of ignored the idea of salt water or just plain water as an electrolyte. But if you have the right catalyst materials, the right catalyst metals, you get a breakdown and oxidation reaction, which can generate power, something that I didn't know.
Right, and it's also going to be measuring how long the aluminum reaction goes on for and is producing the hydrogen, and then how long we can get the effective charge out of it, and the cost ratio of switching the aluminum part within the reactor batteries. But this camera is going to die, so I will go back to the computer and let you take your show back. Good, Jeremy, sir.
It's cool to see the garden, man. Thanks for showing that. I was impressed with the results the first time, and it looks like it really took off now. So nice job with that. It's a good experiment, and I would love before.
Okay, I am back. So the batteries I have yet to test that experiment outside. I'm going to be doing that in my part 2 tomorrow during the day with Ben and Benjamin Balderson at Odin's Alchemy. And sadly, I ran out of time tonight before I could get around to that, but they're still active as ever and nothing to worry about. Although they're not producing as much bubbling and hydrogen as what's between Bert and Ernie here right now, being plugged into the wall with a constant 5 volts. It is about 1/100th the amount coming off in my outside closed circuit design, and yeah, it's going into day 6 now, fully running. So promise tomorrow that I will be doing an actual live video of the testing of the voltage on the cathode sides of it. And here is the Benjamin Balderson himself with Campbell, me, and our last live last week. For those who haven't seen it, I'll play a little clip here where when Ben's showing his solar hookups with the mass amounts of batteries and out on his ranch. It's a really huge big system, so if you haven't seen it yet, it's a crucial part and a big part of what I will be already discussed with them again in tonight's pre-recorded yet to be released episode, and the rest of what we'll be doing tomorrow. So without further ado, I will unmute it and let all of you hear his expertise. Batteries with their alternating layers, because if you look into lakes and oceans, especially when they're frozen, you'll see the same.
So I actually stack 3 of those together in order to make 90 volts. But that 90 volts is at maximum. Like when the sun's hitting it just right, you know. So, and like say clouds go in front of it, it's going to fluctuate, things like that. So you want it to never dip below 48. Like my system's a 48 volt system, and that's set by your inverter. So what the solar controller, and that's what these are called the solar controller. And the solar controller is going to take it from that 90 volts or 50 volts or 70 volts or whatever and put it down to a nice clean 48. So it's always nice and 48. So you want your panels to always be above 48. And then your solar controller there is going to bring it down to 48. Now, my solar controller, I jump right. That's a really bad picture. Right into my inverter. So that's going to jump right over into my inverter. And from my inverter, and that's just basically, you can see that these are just bars. So it's just tying it together. So then depending on whether I'm using power or not, and part of why I feed it right to my inverter, because you can feed it to your batteries directly and then pull power from your batteries all the time, where you're basically using your batteries as like a capacitor. But the problem with doing that is your batteries, you're constantly funneling power through them. You're doing basically electrolysis. And so you're going to burn up these lead acid batteries pretty quick doing it that way. So I run it directly into my inverter and then put my batteries from that. So that way, if I'm pulling power through the inverter, it actually feeds from my solar panels and through my controllers right into the inverter and doesn't pull them from my batteries. So then my batteries basically are going to take whatever's left over that's I'm not currently using, and pack that away as an extra charge to be used later. So the inverter is taking that 48 volts and turning it into 220 volt circuits that are running 90 degrees apart from each other. And so that's giving you 240 volt. Now, so there's the top of the inverter, and this is what's actually doing the inverting. These two power boxes here, and then there's a big fan on top of them. Really, they're not real complicated units when you really get down to them. And then this is my battery bank. So because I'm running a 48 volt system, these batteries, these are called an L16 lead acid battery. They have a pretty good amp hour on them. So in order to get up to these are 6 volt batteries. And so in order to get up to 48 volts, I've got to stack 8 of them in a series in order to make 6 times, 8 is 48. So this is basically one battery, this whole stack of 8. Then you turn around and each set of these that you add on then just ups your amp hours. So this is called parallel. So then you got series. So this is a series parallel setup in order to bring up my amp hours instead of just the volts. So, and then from this really bad picture where I apparently was moving, from the inverter, then it just feeds. This is my house, typical house circuit box, circuit breaker box, where you feed out of the inverter into because mine's 240, which you can get a 120, and most people that live off grid, 120 is just fine, but because I run a lab and do some things, some of the applications that I have need 240. So I needed 240 volt power, but a lot of people do 120. But so then it's just one lug and typical household stuff. after that point.
Nice. So basically, whenever you plug something in, you're literally using the sun. As long as the sun's out, you're using that straight up instead of drawing from your batteries. So how?
Okay, so that's a little clip of what's to be coming. We published in the next few days. Also, if you didn't catch my original weekly last week's stream with Campbell and me, Autodidactic Alchemist, where I looked at the star forts and hypothesized that star fort cities potentially were powered kind of like giant fountains. And for instance, this one right here, the Portugal star fort, right in the center, there would have been this aquifer pumping up the water, and then it would have cascaded down each level of the fort. And that's where their water source, or how they got their water, and why in all of the maps you see these channels and the moats filled with water. And then coincidentally, the next night, me and Campbell went on to the Stuffed Beagle channel, which I will now play the clip of. I believe I have it lined up. And the Stuffed Beags happen to share that the Holy of Holies in Jerusalem, the Solomon's Temple, this ancient scripture documenting the buildup of this aquifer chamber, and twice a day this massive sprinkler or fountain showering down the water from the very top, and then sprinkling down through lower Jerusalem, which was just, could I get better supporting evidence of the theory of how these things must have been powered and the hydraulics of it all.
Dot here and a ghost there, but all you see is the two-dimensional world. Now, in three-dimensional world, you can see the walls, the floor, the ceiling. You can see the ghost. You can see the dimensions of the ghost. Okay, and fourth dimension, being your time, space, and your fifth dimension, then you're raising up a whole different monkey.
I think, have you heard of like the real attachments?
And just, I don't even know what's in there. I just know
good,
I have
man.
37. Did I share my research on the temple mount that I did a year or two ago? I can't remember if I shared that with you or not.
That the temple like in Jerusalem where there's a second temple? Well, the temple is in the wrong spot.
Right, where the temple, where they say the temple is not. The long story short, what we know is the Temple Mount is not the Temple Mount. It is the old Fort Antonia.
Yeah.
That is the Roman fort, and that is the foundation for the Roman fort. And the Temple of David is right below it in the city of Jerusalem. And they are now finding that and excavating that. And the Gihon Spring is in that, and that is actually a critical part to that research. So if you're interested in looking into that, research the Gihon Spring, research the City of David excavations, research Josephus, because Josephus talked about this in his writings. He talked about how the Gihon Spring shot up 450 feet into the air several times a day. It's on a pressurized system, And the Gihon Spring, they have found it. It comes up right at the bottom of where they say the city of David is now. So there's archaeological evidence for this research. And then you look at the size of a standard Roman fort of the time, and it's the exact measurements of the Temple Mount today. And then they say that the Roman fort, the official story is there's a little portion in the northwest corner of the Temple Mount today, and they say that that is Fort Antonia. But then you look at the amount of troops that were supposed to be stationed at the Temple Mount, at Fort Antonia. There's no way you could get 2,000 troops in that little space, and the support staff, which was about 3,000 to 5,000 people, with their families and the cooks and the people that took care of the horses and the this and the that, the blacksmith, all these people, all the support, the families were supposedly in this Fort Antonia, and there's no possible way. Go look into it. There's more to it, but there's a lot of research pointing to the fact that the Temple Mount was not there. And Mount Zion is still
what
there.
do they say is going to happen?
It was destroyed.
When you rebuild the temple, what's that? Is that when it's supposed to be, what, is that the second coming, or is that what?
Well, here's the thing. The Jewish people, they believe that the temple will be rebuilt. Now, here's this is a key point to that research. The story in the Bible says that the Romans tore down the temple, every last stone and block. Okay, well, if they tore down they say to the foundations, every stone was destroyed. Okay, if that's true, what the hell is the Temple Mount? Think about that. If it was destroyed,
and what were you saying about it springing a few times a day? Like
the Gihon Spring is a pressurized spring, and what happens is it's up underground. It's the only I love this research. The Gihon Spring is the only spring in the area. There is no water inside the Temple Mount. There's no water located on the Temple Mount. The only thing they have is a well that they dug down later, okay? And the only spring water, which is fresh water, comes from a ways away, and it's a pressurized system. And what it does is it fills up, and when it gets to a certain point, it purges, and it shoots down, and it purges that water and then shoots out right below what we call the Temple Mount today, right where the temple was. And the point is that the Jews, they had to cleanse themselves in pure water prior to entering the temple. Okay, this Gihon Springs is right below where I think where the city of Jerusalem is. That means they could cleanse themselves and they could walk right into the temple. And
all right. So, that me and Campbell in that episode on the Stuffed Beagle, it was 5-hour stream. It was actually yesterday we did it, and me and Cam Autodidactic were the last 2 hours of that 5-hour stream. I'm just about to load another video that I didn't quite have queued up yet. So this is essentially the halfway mark. Actually, I'm probably going to have to go sooner than that. But with that, we have this. All right, we are back. But the clip is still loading because my computer and my connection are slow. And thus we will run through, once again, remind everybody, hopefully 1 week's time, we will be in Medicine Hat in these Badlands, checking them out if everything goes according to plan. I desperately do still need donations to help fund making this happen, for paying for the expenses, the fuel, and everything else that essentially goes along with a trip and doing one of these expeditions. Also, all of you, anybody who can make it, who's in the area, you are also welcome to come explore the Medicine Hat Badlands with me and with us all. And at least hopefully we will find some of these balls and get some drone footage of this guy. But who I will keep everybody updated and let you know in the coming days the exact details, and that it's 100% happening. Yay! It finally worked. So here we go. The portion, Old World Remains with Campbell yesterday, or last week.
The whole purpose of
So I theorize that if the water is being pumped out from that central highest point and then cascades down from level to level, that those in between spots they would have put wheels to harvest, your spinning wheel in those little grooves that the water's going through, so you could have had a bunch of sewing machines, water wheels, whatever the heck, flour grinding, industrial stuff from your hydropower, in this super efficient technological design. And then all of those holes down there, the water would have ended up going through there at the very end, and those essentially would have been these terraced aquaponic, garden and farming, with utmost efficiency for those times, highest standard of living and practicality for why these were designed the way they were and how they would have worked. Now we got to test it, find more supporting or denying evidence, but I liked what Stuff Speed had to say about Jerusalem and Solomon's Temple. All right. Running. Right, exactly. Who knows? Could be completely off too. It's just a theory I'm putting forward, and it's probably not their original designs. I'm talking about just like before the most recent reset, but long after the Atlantean and Noah's floods and all of those. So it wasn't high technology, it was middle technology out of the leftover recovered high technology. Of the ancients used in the Iron Age, the Middle Ages. Sounds reasonable to me. That just brainstorming on it. You got a better idea? Let us know. Speaking of which, we're going to hear Jared Booster's theories on it all, and really looking forward to that episode coming up either this Monday or the following Monday after that. I sent Jared another email today to check up, so hopefully he gets back right away, and hopefully it is on this Monday. Anywho, the very last thing that I will share with all of you tonight in this shorter episode is our Brucey bonus. You would guess, since I'm calling it the Brucey bonus, it would be my episode I just did with Paul Cook this week and Campbell as well. But no, an episode 2 of us three duo will be also sometime in the next 7 days. But tonight's Brucey bonus is going to the Global BEM YouTube channel. That's Global Breakthrough Energy Movement. And it is the Daniel Nunes, Erica and Daniel Nunes, beautiful couple. They own and run One Stop Energies. But as I shared last night on the Alien Scientist channel, the reason why their videos weren't shown in my Year of the Coil updates the other night, that one is absolutely epic if you haven't seen it. Anywho, since the time I created that video and posted the link to their work and the Daniel Nunes YouTube channel, and the time that we actually ran the video or the live stream last night or 2 nights ago, it got completely deleted. All of their videos, even the 2 that I had linked in the description, still in the description of a Year of the Coil update video, don't work whatsoever. So I wanted to document and give a shout out to them, and hopefully they get their channel restored or figured out sooner rather than later. But this is their presentation at the Global Breakthrough Energy Movement a couple years ago, or few years, I think now.
With grooves in them. We found that this approach was more practical. It can piece together very rapidly. It's very cost effective, under $100 per frame. So it's very amazing that you could just piece together something very, very quickly, and you have 100% symmetry every time. So that's where we came up with the frame and the wiring algorithm. We think that it's essentially most important to uphold the integrity of the vortex. Just use that vortex energy as a fundamental. It doesn't really matter where the conductors are ending, where they're starting. It's really just about creating that shape and utilizing that shape and the fundamental of vortex energy. So this is the general method of excitation. So in our standard configuration for electrically testing a vortex coil, channel A and channel B are powered in reverse direction via stereo amplifiers. So we didn't have a chance to set this up yet, but we can talk you through it. Once the resonant frequency is reached, the vortex coil generates a high voltage oscillation, which is perfect for lighting and battery charging. In most cases, the measurements indicate an ability to maintain current while amplifying voltage by at least a factor of 10. So what we see is we have 30 volts going into the coil. We have 130 volts coming out of the coil. Now, what's happening to the amperage is the question, because a lot of these Tesla technologies, they step up voltage, but at the expense of current. You have no current. You have high voltage, but no current. There's no power there. So what this is doing is it's compensating maybe 10 milliamps of current, no more. So what we're seeing is at least a doubling of how much energy is coming out of the coil versus what's going into it, which is groundbreaking news. And it allows us to engineer devices on this principle instead of looking at it from the sense of let's give energy here and extract energy here and lose all of that inductive coupling and we waste power. Instead, we're resonating our load with the coil, and we're getting into this understanding of resonance and how much we can actually affect technologies as a result. Some of those testing observations?
Testing observations. Controllable low voltage ozone production, multiple magnetic monopole detection, energy gains using a 1-to-1 ratio, 1-to-1 ratio coils, coil sensitivity to the Earth's magnetic field, bioelectric interactions with the coil, energy reduction when charging batteries or spinning magnets, synchronization of multiple rotors at different axes, plasma excitation through the center of a vortex coil, increased growth rates in plants around coils, self-cooling properties when running high voltage, very large magnetic fields for little input power, 576 LEDs illuminated using only 1 watt of power, and many more.
So this is huge. This is very important stuff. Bioelectric interactions with the coils. What does that mean? That means that we could literally replace the sound frequency generator with our own bioelectric energy. You can, any one of you don't have to have special powers. You can come over, grab the input source with your own bioelectric energy, and your bioelectric energy will trigger a response in this coil to generate high voltage and over unity. Oh no, that's amazing. So that's just one of those things. And plasma reactors, main problem with the plasma reactors, they have to turn off in 2 minutes. What if we can run our plasma reactors indefinitely without ever overheating? It's a big deal.
Maximum ozone detection. This is the unification coil rewired. With it, we tested the strength of ozone produced by the vortex coil resonance. On a scale from 1 to 4, each result indicated the maximum concentration of O3. Now this one is the new rewired unification coil. Our frames, this is when we changed our frames for the second time. And if from the research we've done, ozone is made from 7 to 30,000 voltages, and we're getting ozone at a set frequency coming out of the center of this coil.
Maybe 40 volts.
In most cases, O3 is used as a sterilizing agent for water, foods, and high traffic spaces, which are prone to contamination. We use it ourselves in our home. We'll turn on the coil, clear out the air of the room, and then come back in 30 minutes and scent free and perfect.
It'll literally take out any toxins. This is huge for third world countries that are suffering with diseases and all these different things, different contaminations, and with no way to actually sterilize their spaces. Another method is using ultraviolet light, but that also consumes a lot of wattage. So what if we were able to create ozone generators using maybe 30 watts of power? What does that mean for sterilizing food, sterilizing water? So many different things. Not only will this coil structure the water, but it will also sterilize it if integrated with ozone. So that's a very huge application there. This is another big one.
Agricultural applications. So this was our first experiment of wheatgrass being grown under low wattage LED crop lighting. We placed the oscillating coil next to the wheatgrass and found that the growth rates were accelerated in the sprouts closest to the vortex coil. In this way, we can boost plant growth via lighting and magnetic field influence, a low-cost solution for agricultural advancement. As you can see here, it's not that. Not really. Well, let me describe exactly what the testing resulted for us. Over here, this small wheatgrass was it was light green and very weak. And this one was a hunted green color, and it was just like strong, and it grew a lot more. And the coil's right here on this side. So the coil is powering the lights and is throwing out a huge electromagnetic field.
So what we ended up seeing was a linear slope in the wheatgrass. So it actually grew like this. So the coil was sitting right there, and the wheatgrass grows like this. So indicating that the magnetic influence is actually doing something to the plants, and we're actually replicating this back home right now with cilantro. But I'm sure it could be applied to any different type of agriculture purpose.
Did you say it was growing at an angle?
It grew literally at an angle,
Like
yes.
what degree? I couldn't see.
It was a linear slope like this, so that whatever.
So normally it's that way, and it was like that.
Yeah, so
Oh,
each,
wow.
although, so it was like the growth rate was enhanced, and it literally tapered down as the magnetic field tapered down. So it just shows that's the same thing we can do right here with this meter. We can show that when this coil is on, and actually this one's driving, so we could see that we're at max potential, and as we go away, our magnetic field is tapering down. So this actually, the last slide indicated the same exact thing, which was the linear slope. So the wheatgrass that was closest, it grew faster.
Vortex coil lighting inverter, 11 LEDs, 1,300 lumens for only 3/4 of a watt, 0.75. Here's our 4-year-old Daniel Anthony doing his schoolwork using 0.75 watts of power. This unit utilizes a modified Joule Thief circuit in conjunction with a PoE mini vortex coil in order to provide maximum intensity for less than 1 watt of input power. This type of light is perfect for off-grid villages, camping trips, or even as an ultra efficient nightlight. For me, yes, my nightlight finally.
So the nightlight that was, this is where it all started, and we don't see it finishing here, but this is where it all began. And when we finally got that accomplished, this is 3/4 of a watt, putting out 1,300 plus lumens. And
What's it normally?
what it would be normally is maybe around the same consumption, but a lot less intensity. So
Philips-
we're getting much more intensity.
Philips currently has 200 lumens for 1 watt of power. So we have 0.75 for 1,300.
You know, you had said that obviously if we can touch it, we can power the coil ourselves. We are biologists.
Amplified with an amplifier, of course, yes.
Now, could you, theoretically with plants, did you see that presentation done where the plants were actually singing? Like they were making the music, it was over there. There's electrical stands over there. Somebody had the plants connected to something and they were actually playing music. So my question was, could you theoretically connect the plants to the coil as well, and they would amplify that too?
We did that with the tree.
Yes.
With, what was it, a peach tree?
Yes. Well, what you're talking about with the peach tree, we had a peach tree. We resonated the whole cavity of the tree in order to move to the far reaches of the tree, to the extremities, and listen to actual tones that were playing through the entire tree using minimal wattage. But yes, you can basically take the plug it into the ground, so right to the earth, and amplify earth energy through the amplifier in order to stimulate the same response. Yes, any bioelectric energy will do. So thank you. So this is.
It's a beautiful sunny day, yet the humans refuse to leave. All because.
Aha, that's why I have control. So, yeah, it happens. I cut it off. Yeah, no, Jeremiah, I know the coils that you guys are working on are like exponentially up there, but this was, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, old at least, that this presentation that they did there was. Higher technological. Am I still there? Am I still here? Ooh, I'm still with you. Okay. Anywho, so actual real tests with the multimeters tomorrow happening on these devices. And it's also, I was highlighting their work specifically tonight because One, their channel the work needs to be restored. Everybody's does, as does Jason Verbelli's. It's ridiculous, the censorship. Hopefully everybody's able to work it out, and YouTube is reasonable, and hopefully I get my other channel, my main channel, back here. I'm just sending off an application yet again to apply for that. Yeah, so there'll probably be 2 or 3 streams this week with updates with the multimeters on these saltwater batteries and getting better footage of the hydrogen coming off of it. Tomorrow I might be going live with Benjamin Balderson, aka Odin's Alchemy, doing the testing live. We will see, and I will probably also with Jeremiah, depending, JP, on your availability in the next couple of days with some of the mics, if we do one together and answer any questions and do some more tests on it, depending how it turns out. What else do I have to say quickly? And while I'm out here, let's see how much it's bubbling. This actually remarkably well, how illustrating the small hydrogen flowing up off of this reactor, the medium-sized bubbles, and then the larger ones coming off of it on that cathode side. There's the potential that they all could be different types of either hydrogen, oxygen, H4, HHO, atomic hydrogen, and in combination with the metals involved or that crystal as well. But it seems to do the same with same reactor without the crystal, and the same depending on the combination with the copper. Anywho, this is going to be the interesting part, finding out the actual voltages coming off of these guys and getting footage of this, that it's probably about 1,000th to 1/10,000th the amount of bubbling as this one is, this guy right here, but it's also freezing, and this one I used extremely boiling water when I put it in. It's probably cooled down just above room temperature now. It was a few hours ago. But so gonna see how this is during the day tomorrow, the amount of bubbling coming off of the cathode sides here. And if we can get even, a 1/2 volt or 1/3 of a volt and get it tweaked up, and then running them in series in smaller cups, or like essentially where that one is, you'd have like 5 or 6 little pill cases in it, and then connected together with smaller cores, such as like in these batteries, just refining that core into this core size core, and yeah, those smaller, and running them in series and be able to get a much higher voltage out of it and turning it into real applicable batteries. Another thing, this guy right here, when you have the 5 volts going in, I discovered in the middle of Canadian winter last year in -30 that running in these guys that are also plugged in, that it was a giant block of ice, frozen solid, salt water and all. And as soon as I'd plug on the 5 volts going in around the cathode, it would instantly start bubbling and melting and looking like that right there around it. And just whole new amounts of testing and experiments that need to be done with that this winter, and the implications of the saltwater hydrogen technology, even in freezing cold conditions. What up, CJDV, Mac, my PMG brother, another New Zealander. We truly are a global community right here, all around the realm, tuning in. Anywho, it's 2:12 a.m. I'm pretty loud outside in my backyard. I should probably keep it down. Got all sorts of neighbors with kids sleeping. I guess I'll go back inside for one more clip. We'll end her. You got another 15 minutes. We'll play a Brucey bonus of us and Paul and what to look forward with episode 2. Coming soon for all of you. Ready? Ready.
Right.
Use the vortex fundamentals presented in VBM, and we want to use that to our advantage. Create a big.
Is it still playing?
Consumes less energy. Why not? Why not have a coil that can pulse right here in the center of the room, and everybody can experience that pulse electromagnetic therapy using low wattage? So that's possible. 3D sound, what does that mean? Well, if we were to turn on this coil and play music through it, we can literally perceive the sound in a different way. It sounds like it's coming from different corners of the room almost. And when you play tones, it's quite magical. You can hear different things coming from different places. You think you're going crazy.
Without
But
surround sound.
but it's no surround sound. It's just one coil, one magnet put on top of it. You can amplify it with aluminum, but it's very basic. And that coil can produce a very, very unique type of sound. So that's 3D sound. Solid state battery charging. This is the same thing that we talked about. This is the same thing that we're seeing here. Instead of running these lights, we could be charging our batteries, serve as backup systems that can run off of small solar panels. You're out and about, your car stalls out, you need 12 volts, you don't have anywhere to get it. Well, now you can carry around with something like that in your car and saves you a lot
Talking
of
from personal experience.
It actually worked. So wireless induction mats, it's another thing. Wireless induction mats consume a lot of power right now, but that's also because of the old design. We're again talking about this old circulating, just one layering above the next. That is not the way energy wants to flow. And we will have deeper insights later on today by Mr. Randy Powell, and he'll talk a little bit more on why that's like that. Because all energy wants to flow in the natural way, and that's a different type of circulating pattern. So low energy induction mats, it's possible. So we'll just move right along there.
After many dedicated hours designing, building, and testing various vortex coils, we have come to the conclusion that it is possible to engineer a whole new line of technologies around the novel fundamentals presented here. Now, our goal is to incorporate these designs into introductory applications in order to generate the support necessary for further R&D. As support grows, we also see these technologies advancing very rapidly, allowing for a tremendous impact in a number of sectors. Example, battery charging, battery storage, industrial lighting, industrial agriculture, and many others. On a fundamental level, this testing has demonstrated a profound relationship between precision engineering, sound frequency, magnetism, electricity, and most importantly, resonance.
So this is where we're all unifying all of our understandings, each one of us that are here today and that are at home researching this different type of field. we're all talking about the same exact thing: sound frequency, what that does with resonance, how to get things interacting in a resonant way in order to make the most efficiency of our energy, in order to heal ourselves, in order to heal our environment, in order to create energy in a different way that's not detrimental to our planet. So we do feel that this is a very low-hanging fruit that would allow people to experiment with this. This is very basic fundamentals. We've also given out all the information online. We have over 100 videos supporting this work and showing how to apply it, how to build it, how to test it, and everything. So this is something that we want to have other people working on in order to further and broaden the understanding, because we don't claim to have all the answers, but we know that if we give out the information, then other engineers can come together and say, hey, listen, well, there was something very, very fundamental that you overlooked, and this is how you can apply it. So that's very crucial to our development. And that's basically our presentation. We wanted to open up for questions right now. Yeah. We haven't done it. We haven't. The question was, how is it that aluminum is able to amplify the sound frequency quality?
I'm just curious because aluminum is paramagnetic and it's a conductor at the same time. So if you have iron or a magnet to make a regular speaker, if you also had a paramagnetic to act as a faster switch for the magnetic field, I'm just curious if that's why it's making it sound better if you do that experiment.
To my understanding, aluminum conducts electricity in the opposite way from the copper, so that when we bring the aluminum close to the copper, what happens is it amplifies because there's friction against the copper, the energy that's coming off of the copper, and what's going through the aluminum. So when you place the magnet next to it, so just sitting it on top, it doesn't have to be internal. I think we suspect that when you use it internally, it will disrupt some of the resonance because, again, the electricity wants to flow in the opposite direction from the aluminum. So when you put it right on top, you're able to amplify sound in a unique way. Next question. The question is, what is the website? The website is the number 1, the character 1, stop, S-T-O-P, energies, IES.com. Yeah. That's the website is onestop.energies.com.
I missed the beginning. What was the manufacturing?
All right. Okay. Well, I guess that is that for the Nunez's presentation at Global Breakthrough Energy Movement on their Peace on Earth PoE Vortex coils. I've posted the link a few times in the live stream for anyone that wants to check out the full 2 hours on their own. Lastly here, the actual Brucey bonus for everyone. We got about 9 more minutes of fun together. Part 2 of Paul Cook, myself, and Campbell coming up for you probably this Friday, I do believe. And here's our last week's one with Paul Cook and his main ground, looking around the United States and digging geopolymer technology that it is, and that the ancients had mastered, and that a lot of these stones out of. So, without further ado, us from last week. All right. On that note, I've got to go, so we will see everybody hopefully tomorrow. If not, I think Sunday, definitely Monday. Pretty sure I'm doing about 2 to 3 streams every day between my own channels and everybody else's. Oh, sorry if there was no sound on that last one. Good thing, I guess it was a short one. We love you all. See you on the next one. Much love. May have a blessed day until then. A ta-ta. And please, if you can, donate to my broke ass so that we can go explore this place right here all together in 1 week's time. The Medicine Hat, Badlands, the Badlands Guardians. This guy, that guy, this guy, all of them. So if you can, the donation links are in the description. It's much appreciated. We will see you tomorrow.